Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Math Unlocked with Mrs. Rhodes-Grierson. So today we're looking at how to find the inverse. How to find the inverse of a function. So look, we have the function f of x is equal to 3x plus 1. So once you're here, you would have already understood functions. You understand a function notation. You know that a function can be given different letter names. So I could call it f, I could call it g, I could call it h. But all functions are functions generally of your input. And in this case, my input is x. So this function is a function of x. Now, if the function is a function of x, it is saying that how do I attain the y value given that this statement tells me how. So instead of saying f of x here, I could have written an expression which means the same thing as this. It's to say y is equal to 3x plus 1. What is it saying? It's saying in order to obtain the output y, I would need an input of x multiplied by 3 and then add 1. So this is the statement. So f of x is the same as y. Because in order to get your output y, you need to process it this way by saying 3 times x plus 1. Now, if I ask you for its inverse, denoted as f to the negative 1, if I ask you for its inverse, what does that mean? The inverse of anything at all that you're doing is to do the opposite of that operation. So what we want to do is that we're looking at the fact that the y was equal to 3 times x plus 1. To do an inverse of that is that we're flipping them around. And we're then saying that how do I get the input to become the output and the output to become the input? I'm going to repeat that. In this statement, how do I get the input to become the output and the output to become the input? So I'm going to be exchanging x and y. Notice x was here, y was there, so I'm going to be exchanging x and y. But if I do that, then the original statement doesn't remain as is either, because in the entire statement it was saying 3 times the x value plus 1. We want to undo that. So what we were doing, so let's write that down. What was I doing? I said 3 times the x value plus 1. If I should work in the reverse, what would I be doing? I'd be subtracting 1 and then dividing by 3, because we're doing the opposite operation. So look at the fact that if I'm going this way, I would be multiplying x by 3 and then adding 1. But if I'm required to do its inverse, it means therefore that I'd be subtracting 1, then dividing by 3. Notice that when I'm doing the inverse, wherever it ended, that's where I'm going to start to go into the opposite operation. So if I ended at adding 1, it means I will begin at subtracting 1 and then go to dividing by 3. What will that look like? Since it is the input and the output that will first be exchanged, I'll take x to this side. Y will go to that side. Now x, over this side, it was saying 3 times x plus 1. Since I'm doing the reverse of that, I will first subtract 1. So it will now be x minus 1. The 3 that was multiplying here will now go to divide that expression, since I first subtracted 1 from x. And now I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide the entire expression now by 3. And now this thing will be equal to y. Notice what I did first. I said if I'm going to be doing the inverse, it means that what is really going to be the result of that is that the x value and the y value will be exchanged. But if the x and y value are exchanged, it therefore means that the entire function needs to change, such that if I was multiplying by 3, I should now be dividing by 3. If I was adding 1, I should now be subtracting 1. But the order in which I do the operation matters, because when you go this way versus going back, you will need to start at the end in order to go back. So if I said 3 times x plus 1 it will now be x minus 1 divided by 3 because I went in the opposite direction, which means that f inverse of x is equal to x minus 3 divided by minus 1 divided by 3.